friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to Wrestle Juice. So AEW Dynasty is in the books. And of course, this is Wrestle Juice. I've already dropped my star ratings over at the Friendo Club Wrestling channel. I've already gone into detail in podcast form over at the Going and Raw channel. But this is Wrestle Juice. This is where I ask for your hot takes and then I respond to them. I hope you guys aren't trying to get me in trouble with some of your hot takes. I'm also going to spotlight the popular takes, cold takes, whatever you want to call them, where everybody gave it a thumbs up and it's not exactly hot, but you guys expressed your opinion. I like showing that off here at Wrestle Juice. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Hopefully I don't get into trouble. Hell. Better than WrestleMania 40 Night 1, says Ty Marshall. Oh, man, you guys are immediately getting into trouble. We're not supposed to be comparing companies. If you like AEW, you like AEW. No taking shots around here at Wrestle Juice, but I happen to agree with Ty here. I'm not going to lie. Listen, if you take this card, if you take Dynasty and you boil it down, you get rid of a couple of the, I don't want to say stinker matches, but certainly the matches that maybe should have been on Collision, like the House of Black versus whatever Edge is calling his crew. Get rid of that match. Get rid of, hell, I'll be honest with you. You could have gotten rid of Okada and Pac. I think that could have been a Dynamite main event because there was no real story behind it. It wasn't really a build. It was a good match. It was a good 4-star match. But you could have gotten rid of that. I don't know why Willow versus Julia Hart only went 6 minutes. But if you get like the best like 5-6 matches on this card, if you boil this card down to 6 matches, oh my God, yeah, it's better than WrestleMania 40 Night 1. If you guys recall, Night 1 of WrestleMania 40, left a little bit to be desired. The main event was kind of on the longish side. It was like 40 minutes long or something like that, 43 minutes long. Jimmy versus Jay was a big stinker. And then you had a bunch of matches that were like, okay, some of these are good. Like, actually, no, I'm thinking of Night 2 right now. So, was this better than Night 1? Yeah, I'd probably say it's better than Night 1. Roderick Strong versus Kyle O'Reilly absolutely was a killer match. Hell, you can even throw Okada Pac in there. Why not? Obviously, Danielson and Ospreay was a killer match of the year contender, absolutely. The Young Bucks versus FTR, I really liked that match. It was a lot of fun. It was very violent. The main event, Swerve becoming champion. I thought that was really cool. I thought there was some good stuff. Tony Storm versus Thunder Rosa. I thought it was an awesome match. So yeah, I'd probably put this ahead of WrestleMania 40 Night 1. I ain't putting it above Night 2. Night 2 of WrestleMania was fucking awesome. That was my shit. That was like, you want to get with Steve, this is what you want to watch. You know what I mean? If you want to understand what I like in my pro wrestling, it's Night 2. But this is there, man. I thought that the pay-per-view, if you get rid of some of the filler, the best of this of the pay-per-view, which was like a good 2.5, 3 hours. It was like almost pay-per-view length. I'd put up there WrestleMania 40 Night 1. We were all sitting here trying to think, I don't know, was this good? Wanted to be good. I really wanted to be good in this new Paul Levesque era. Little did we know, Night 2 would be the night for WrestleMania this year. So if we are comparing them, if we're going to compare them, keep it real. I agree with this. Not going to lie. Ty, you and I on the same page. What were the replies here? What did y'all say to Ty? Can I please get some of what you're smoking, says Tribal Man. Night 1 was mid as hell, made even worse by the Uso stinker. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, it's not even saying that it was better than Night 1 of WrestleMania. Really, if you think about it, shouldn't be that hot of a take. But y'all go crazy when you start comparing the WWE with the AEW. Anyways, let's move on to the next hot take. All right, so I've seen this take out there, and to me, this is a hot take because I firmly disagree with it. But Zach Bradley here, and I've seen this. This is not like a unique thing. Says the Bryan injury angle just a few weeks after Ring of Honor did an uncomfortable injury angle nearly ruined an amazing match for me. I'll be honest with you. I really loved the end of that match. I think Bryan Danielson going out there basically saying in his Collision promo the night before on Saturday, saying, you know what, when I die, I don't want to go to heaven. I want to be wrestling in front of all you fans. I want to be bleeding in this ring in front of you fans. And it just sort of leans into the story of be careful what you wish for, Bryan Danielson. Sorry, I still have a problem with that. Bryan Danielson, be careful what you wish for. And Will Ospreay being so obsessed. Remember, he's a good guy, but he's being so obsessed with proving that he's the best, shoving aside Bryce, or sort of ignoring him anyways, and still hitting that last final blade after already hitting him with the Storm Driver, and then immediately being like, oh man, this is great, I won, but having that moment robbed from him because he might have just retired. He just fucked up Bryan Danielson. I think that's a terrific story beat. I think that's the kind of storytelling that I like to see in my wrestling. I think if you look at the Storm Driver, because when I saw that move, at first it looked pretty gnarly, but then you actually see that Danielson landed it like you should land it if you're going to be safe. You know, it's on the, you know, the shoulders basically. I mean, maybe a little bit on the neck. Didn't look that bad, but he sold it like it was horrible. He was doing seizures and stuff. And it's like, I get it, but that's what Danielson likes to do. That's his whole shtick. Like, he's been doing that for a while. So I'm okay with it as long as I know, and I pretty much understood from the moment he hit that move, I understood, oh, this is a story beat. And then afterwards in the press conference, Ospreay apologized and retires the move to stash it away for another day when he absolutely needs it, or if he's going to be a bad guy. It all plays into his story, and that's all I'm asking for when it comes to AEW. We walked into this match, who's the best wrestler, which is for some people just too generic. It's too broad. But then they do this angle where the good guy fucks up the other guy, and then he's got to sit with that. He's got to deal with that. And how is he going to respond to that now? And how is Danielson going to respond to this? So I really like the angle. I knew from the beginning when they hit that move, and then when Danielson started twitching and stuff, that it was storyline. And so I was fine with it. I'm okay with those kind of angles as long as they don't overdo them. As long as we can tell as an audience, okay, no, you know, this is all storyline. This is all performance. So I was cool with it, but I've seen this out there. Evidently, Danielson did such a good job that a lot of people thought he was actually injured, which was surprising to me, because he's got a history of doing like the seizure stuff. Like, this isn't new for him. So I thought it was cool. I thought it was fine, but I understand that that it's out there. Jason Tyler Moncada here with the hot take says O'Reilly versus Strong was the match I ended up feeling most invested in. I'll be honest with you. This is a great way to put my feelings about that match as well, because I sort of feel the same way. These two guys are like the epitome of what I really love in pro wrestling. They work a style that's incredibly physical, but you never think that they're going to go overboard or they're just dumping each other, you know, on their neck, or they're just doing actual harm to each other. And yet these matches still come off like actual fights. I love the way they wrestle. Their chemistry was absolutely fantastic. This match, I agree in terms of it being most invested in the match itself, what's going on in the match. The build to it was kind of like, I don't know, not great, but it does make me more interested in seeing where they're going to go from here. If Kyle O'Reilly's still going to be involved in a Kingdom storyline, you would think that he would be, given that he's tight with all these guys. But we'll see how it ends up working out. But I agree. This was the match that I was most into. All right, Hipster Chandler, man, you're speaking to my heart right now. He says the Punk footage has elevated Jack Perry's career. He would be a nobody and forgotten in 5 years. I noticed this reply here. Fenrir says, but in 5 years, he still might be forgotten. That's true. It all depends on the follow-up. But I will say this. I was not a fan of them releasing the footage. I thought it was petty. I thought it wasn't going to advance any stories. And in fact, kind of the way they were approaching it kind of felt like it wasn't actually advancing any story between the Young Bucks and FTR. But if you don't think that this helped Jack Perry figure out what he has to work with as a character now, after years of just having that crappy Jungle Boy thing, this is that thing. I don't know what kind of reaction he's going to get from here on out. I don't know how they're going to capitalize on it. Is he going to channel this into some charisma for the cameras? I don't know. But in this moment, when they took off that mask after he helped the Young Bucks win, and he had that shit-eating grin, perfect. Perfection. Absolutely perfection. And it's going to turn out that this footage didn't actually backfire. It did benefit somebody, and that somebody is Jack Perry. And it could be that they executed this perfectly. Keep him off TV for just a ridiculously long amount of time. Have him go to New Japan, tear up that contract. I kind of like it. I think that it ended up helping the guy. Not going to lie. All right, guys, let's talk about Chris Jericho now. RoboCop here says the real WCW 2000 element of AEW is Jericho taking over the Hogan role of somehow convincing the management that young talent putting him over is going to benefit either them or their company in the long run, when in fact it only benefits him, I think, is the rest of what he's saying here. I still don't necessarily know that's WCW 2000 necessarily. That being said, I understand the parallel. I do wish that after this Hook thing, Jericho, once he loses that FTW title back to Hook, which I think will probably happen, will go on and work with some veterans. The hatred towards Jericho was almost uncomfortable last night when people are chanting, please retire. It just feels like people are tired of Chris Jericho. And more than that, they see that he is trying to lean into the reputation that he's sort of leeching off younger talent. And I don't think that it's doing what he wants it to do. I don't think this is that kind of bad guy heat that he wants. This seems more like people just don't want to see him on the screen, and that's not going to help Hook at all. It's not going to help anybody he's working with. So I kind of feel like he needs to ditch this effort to lean into that perception of him and move on to working with some talent. I know I've heard a lot of people, and I've been on this line of thought as well, that maybe he should step back for a while, and I'd probably think that's not a terrible idea. That being said, long term, if he's going to continue to wrestle, which he probably will, he's probably, I don't think he's going to want to retire because people are telling him to. I don't think he's going to want to retire because people are sick of him. He's going to want to retire on his own terms, like Sting did. And maybe it's too late for that to happen. I don't know. But I do feel like he needs one solid run of him understanding what people would accept from him as a character before he calls it a day. And maybe he did. Maybe he's like, hey, give me 5 more years. Maybe he wants a lot more time. And if that's the case, he's got to turn that perception of him around. And maybe some of it is going away for a little while. In wrestling, oftentimes absence makes the heart grow fonder. I don't know. Honked Off John says Chase University Hook is going to hit that good. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if Hook is going to leave or not. The rumor is he's going to enter into free agency and explore his options. And if that's the case, I think that he could probably do some cool stuff in WWE. I think he could be a big deal in NXT. All depends on what the guy wants. If he thinks he's being treated right by AEW and he likes the money there, then and he sees that he can have career advancement there, maybe he'll stick around. I don't know. We'll find out. Oh, man. Eastside Review says Swerve is going to be a transitional champion, only keeping the belt warm until Ospreay takes it at Wembley. Wembley's not that far away. It's what, in August? End of August? So we're looking at what, 4 months? Man, I don't think Swerve is going to be a 4-month champion. I think they can find something good for Ospreay to do at Wembley. Maybe you revisit Ospreay Okada in Wembley. Maybe if Okada builds that Continental Championship up to a significant degree over the next 4 months, then Ospreay can take on Okada there at Wembley. And maybe Swerve can have, I don't know, somebody else British, like a Pac or something like that. I don't know how they're going to handle it. It feels like, to a degree, for certain situations, AEW has sort of written themselves in a corner. You got Wembley coming up. You got to think they're going to want a prominent position for Ospreay. Does it need to be the world title now? Or can you wait for 2025 to get to that world title against maybe a heel Swerve? I don't know, but I kind of feel like Wembley is too soon for Swerve. Whether or not this prediction pans out, I don't know. But for me right now, it'd be kind of weird if they did that. They could do, if they want to make Swerve versus Ospreay kind of like a bit of a forever feud, I don't know, man. Maybe you can do Ospreay wins it at Wembley, but then Swerve gets it back a couple, when they do Wrestle Dream in October in Seattle or in the Pacific Northwest, wherever they go. Maybe they can do that, but I don't know, man. If Swerve is still hot around Wembley, I don't know that you do it this year at Wembley. I think you hold off for Ospreay getting the world title next year at Wembley, but I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. Oh, Myron might have the hot take of the day. He says Jericho Hook match was good. All right, Myron. All right, man. You know what? That's awesome. No thumbs up. I'm going to give you a thumbs up on that one, Myron. just for the heat of that take. All right, we're going to start diving into some of the more popular takes out there, the ones I called cold takes. Sometimes these are takes that it's like, hey, you know what? You're going to say something that isn't necessarily controversial. A lot of people are going to give that thumbs up, and I kind of like to spotlight that as well. So Scott LeBeau here says Hook's going to be a way bigger star when he signs with WWE. That could very well be. All right, also, there's a lot of takes about AEW's use of Mercedes Mone, and a lot of these I kind of agree with. Says Zorro says they should have just waited to debut Mercedes. Could have showcased Willow more until Mercedes was ready to be on screen. Rolling out Mercedes in the way they have so far has been underwhelming. It has been undercooked. Why they would put her out there before she's ready to go, before she's ready to wrestle. I mean, you've got the star power. You booked Boston. You had her show up. I get it. But there really should have been, I feel like, a stronger plan for her going forward between the period of time when she debuts and when she can have her actual first match, which ends up being like, what, 3-4 months or whatever it is. So it's a long, or I guess, yeah, 3 months, whatever it is. That's a long period of time right there that you just have somebody, they're kind of in a feud with Willow. Willow's really hot right now. She just picked up that TBS title. So now I'm expected to believe that Mercedes is going to walk in a Double or Nothing and either lose her first AEW match, which isn't going to happen, or make Willow Nightingale a transitional champion for her first run. I don't like either of those options. I think one of those options is better than the other, but they're not going to do it. So, I mean, I feel like at this point, they probably really should have thought about this a little bit better and had Mercedes debut in a program with somebody else, or maybe push her debut like a month. And so there's not that much time between them. Maybe she makes her debut at this pay-per-view and she has a face-off against Toni Storm after the Thunder Rosa match. Maybe you do that instead. And then you can have that, because that's a huge marquee matchup there at Double or Nothing if it's for the women's world title as opposed for the TBS title. Because right now you got Willow Nightingale. I don't know if you want her to take just, she rolls up, she gets the title, and she takes a loss straight up to Mercedes at Double or Nothing. I don't like that. I think that's a bad use of Willow Nightingale. I think it's a bad use of Mercedes Moné. But in any event, it hasn't been the strongest rollout. Also, I'm just going to say it, and I don't want to pile on. I don't want to be too negative, because I think once she starts wrestling, it's going to get really good. The theme song is dog shit. It's a terrible theme song. I can't stand the theme song. I can't stand that CEO shit. Here we go. No Poets Allowed says the crowd's "Please Be Careful" chant at the climax of the FTR EVP spot circus was one of the finest moments in post-kayfabe history. Funny, engaged, ironic, and damn good advice. Hey, I like that take. I think it's a good take. Solid take right there. Jay Hunt says Jericho's legacy isn't slowly falling apart anymore. It's already in the toilet. He stuck around and blocked it up. Now he's really starting to stink. Carrying on with the toilet metaphor here, I see. Dude needs a plunger to get himself out of this mess. Now it's a nasty visual. I'm going to move on. But it kind of feels like that crowd really echoed a lot of sentiment that's out there. People don't want to see him anymore. Solid point being made here from Justin. Says Mercedes signing didn't change a damn thing about how Tony sees the women's division. The two shortest matches on the main card were the women's matches. The TBS title only went 6 minutes. And I think he says here, I don't have the full rollout, but he says 3 to 4 other matches went really long and could have been cut. I don't disagree. I don't know why. I understand that there's the rumor out there that Julia's injured, and so maybe that's why they only went 6 minutes. I don't know. But if they went 6 minutes and everything's fine and she was like cleared to wrestle, she could have gone 12 or 15. That's unacceptable. A 6-minute match, that's terrible. That's awful. Nobody's getting that kind of disrespect. So I don't know what the situation is there. But until I see a real change in the women's division AEW, I will not believe we're going to get an actual change, Mercedes or no. 5-star Icon says, I'm sneaking this in here as a not Dynasty hot take, but I think they should have kept the double whammy in the new Press Your Luck format. What? I thought the double whammy was a fun little thing with the stuff coming down from a vote. Have been interesting. What? I haven't watched Press Your Luck since we did it on the Smash Zone. I don't know about this double whammy situation. They have a double whammy now? You can hit a double whammy? Oh, man, I am so out of the loop on this one. Thank you, 5-star Icons, for letting me know what's going on with the whammies over there. Smith here says, paying for longer editions of Dynamite, calling them pay-per-views. It's crazy. It's like paying for an extra hour of Raw. Oh man, come on. I think this was a bit better than a regular episode of Dynamite, just a longer episode of Dynamite. But I admire the enthusiasm there, Marcus. You said that with your whole chest, buddy. Anyways, that's gonna do it for the hot takes for AEW Dynasty. We'll do this again for Backlash coming up. What is it, next weekend? 2 weeks from now, whenever it is. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you guys around.